Brain Leak.
Matt, thanks so much for coming on today. I'm super pumped.
No, thanks for having me, guys. I'm actually incredibly excited and a little bit nervous. I've always wanted to be able to like collabs with you guys, and with my former schedule, it was almost impossible to do that. And so I'm excited to just like get down on the couch and just hang out for a little bit. It's really nice.
I think about that too, and then I'm like, what are MatPat and I going to do? Our formats are wildly different. And I'm like, I don't know what we do together, so I just never reached out, so that's on me.
Oh, no, it's fine. The world's our oyster. We could have done anything. I mean, we still can do anything.
But time is over now. The world is over. Time has ended. You're gone.
The world is ending.
You say that. I have cooler opportunities for collabs now than I did before. Like, if we had this a month ago, I would have asked you to walk in my fashion show that's coming up soon.
Oh, man. But Matt, fashion. If you're not on YouTube regularly, do you even exist? Does it matter?
That's deep. That's deep. I think you exist more, actually, as a human being. You might not exist as prevalent out in the public eye, but I feel like I exist more now as a human being than I did for years.
That's good. Yeah. I'm glad.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
That's called being present.
Yeah,
holding yourself accountable.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, oh, hey, instead of grinding it away at the computer and worrying about the countdown of scripts or episodes that need to get recorded or uploads and watching view counts and optimization and this and that, it's like, hey, I'm helping the team. I'm present with everyone here, but then I'm going off and I'm climbing a rock wall at the rock gym, or I'm like, hey, I'm learning how to ice skate now because I have a little bit more predictable of a schedule and I can get ownership over my life again. And that's pretty awesome.
I like that ice skating is the go-to. Is that something you wanted to do for a long time and just never did?
It's one of those things that I did a little bit as a kid because I grew up in Ohio. And so in Ohio, it's cold and you throw on some ice skates and you go around the rink a little bit. And it was fun. And I kind of capped out at like, okay, now I need to figure out how to skate backwards efficiently. And I haven't picked it up in years, right? It's maybe like once a year when you're at like an event or something like that, like around Christmas time. And this year, my son Ollie, he's 5, and he turned old enough to start experimenting with a lot of activities, right? He's old enough to have opinions, and he's capable enough to like really hop into a lot of different things. And so this year has been a lot of throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks with him and what he really responds to. And so we threw rock climbing at him, and he loved rock climbing, which is great because I love rock climbing too. So it gave me a good excuse. And then we're like, you know what? Let's try ice skating. Like, let's see, learning balance, slipping and sliding, things like that. And he like, if it has the opportunity for him to go fast and endure some large-scale bodily harm or like run the risk of a large bodily harm, he is all about it. So it's like climb a rock wall and jump off of it, great, awesome. Skate really fast on ice and slide around, great. And so he's been really into it, and so he's been taking lessons, and then we've been doing free skates every weekend. And so Steph and I have just been like passively learning from watching his lessons, and then for an hour on Saturdays we kind of skate around. And at this point it's kind of an informal meet and greet around here where people kind of know that I show up there on like Saturday or Sunday, and we have kind of like meet and greets on the ice sometimes.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's
cool.
Cute.
Brain Leak.
Modern technology is great and it's wonderful and it helps us in basically every aspect of our life, but it's also creepy and weird, and everyone can get any of your information at any time, any place. They know your address, your phone number, your email, the very time down to the second that you burst out of the womb. They can find everything out just at the click of a button. And you can get this information scrubbed from the internet, but it's a tedious task. You have to go to every single person and say, hey, please take down this information. It takes forever. Nobody has time for that. But that's where Aura steps in. Aura sweeps the information, finds all of the data brokers that are selling my information, and automatically submits to opt out. Just for me. Just for the click of a button. I don't have to do anything. I just tell them, hey, go get rid of this. And they go and get rid of this. I don't know if they have tiny little guys in the computer that's going and cleaning all this stuff, or if it's just cool advanced coding. But it's sweet and I love it. Not only does it get rid of my information, but it also reduces the amount of spam that I get. It protects me from hackers who could see my information. And it's all just with one app. I don't have to go and download another VPN, or I don't have to get a password management thing. It's all just in one little place. Simple, it's convenient, it's wonderful, and it's helping you stay safe out there. Or as always on, it's always doing the work of keeping me safe so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. So if you value your privacy, which you really, really should, you can go to aura.com/brainleak. That's AURA.com/brainleak. Start your 2-week free trial today. Keep yourself safe. Don't let those creepy criminals get your information. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to aura.com/brainleak to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold. And then get rid of that information that's being sold through Aura.
Brain leak.
Wait, so your kid's 5 years old. That's when their brains are supposed to turn on, right? Now he's awake. He's sentient.
He's
a real
25.
Yeah. You have to start paying attention to him now. Yeah.
Now we need to know his political opinions. We need to know where he sits. We need to know who he's voting for.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, he has to be locked into all of that right now. We just got to like funnel everything into him.
Yeah.
You know, on one hand, there's definite steps in the like development process where you're like, oh wow, like that was a huge leap, and now you've unlocked all these opportunities for us to do together. Like we just started being able to play Mario Kart together, and it's super cool to be able to like play Mario Kart with your kid, and it is fascinating to learn how much Mario Kart helps you along as a new player, and how much you have to tank your performance to lose in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for Ollie, because of the rubber banding AI, we want Ollie to have some level of success, get a good place finish and this and that. And so if we're trying to play with him, we're pretty good at Mario Kart, and he's not as good at Mario Kart. And so I literally have a rule where I'm not allowed to start racing until like the first lap and a half are done. And so he'll be like, how do I press the button to start? And I'll be like, okay, ready, go. And then he like blasts off, and then I'll hit brake and go backwards for like the first like 30 seconds of the race. I'll scoot around collecting coins for a little bit. And then I start like racing seriously at like a lap and a half. And then that helps prevent the AI, because the AI wants to focus on me, right? It's like, oh, you have a real bad player back here. Like, this guy sucks at Mario Kart. Like, we can't have this guy hanging out in 12th place. So you got like Squidling Kid hanging out with me in like the back 11. And we're just kind of dancing around each other. And then my goal is to get second place in every race. And then if Steph and I, we try to get 1, 2, 3. So that way Ollie gets like first. Every once in a while we'll pop in to be like first, but so that way he doesn't get too big of a head. But it gets in like that, like, yeah, I'm really, and so now he's like, I'm awesome at Mario Kart. And if someone else plays with him, we kind of like pull him aside beforehand, like anyone on the team, or like if anyone's hanging out with us, we're like, hey, just so you know, this is kind of how you have to play the game, and like don't go too hard, because he'll say he's really good at Mario Kart, but not really. So there's been a lot of that lately. That's me. My new goal is to come in second place in everything I play.
Oh, I love what that. Are you, some kind of good dad or something? God.
I'm trying. There's no such thing as a good dad. I feel like, you constantly feel guilt-ridden and awful about every decision that you've made, and it's like, no, I'm never gonna be good enough.
Isn't that just what life is? I don't have a child, and that's how I feel.
Yeah,
I can't make my own decisions.
Well, let me tell you, having a kid just makes it that much worse, because you're like, oh man, this kid's a reflection of the stuff that we're pouring into him, and it's like, no, what have I done?
Yeah, see, I think of having, there's going to be a crude analogy. I think of having a kid as having like a dog that grows up and can vote. So it has like impact in society. So if I fuck it up, it's my fault.
Sure. Yeah.
And then everyone blames me, and then they go to therapy and they blame me, and that's what I've been doing. So why wouldn't they do it?
That's amazing. No, the idea of a dog voting is also great. Like, I feel like that
they should be able to.
They should. Yeah. I mean, it's about as informed as most of us anyway. So there you go.
Yep. My brother just had his first kid this past year, and I've been so excited to be an uncle, but I also realized when he was born, I was like, wow, I have no idea, like, when babies start doing certain things. Like I don't know when those check marks are. Like he just turned 6 months old, and I was like, so is he like walking yet or talking? Like I don't know when these things happen because I'm never around babies. It's very funny.
And I'm around one every week.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I mean, but you're totally right. Like, so Steph and I both are only children, and so we didn't grow up with like brothers and sisters who either grew up alongside us or family members who had kids before us. Right? There's really no aunts and uncles or anything like that. It's all our employees are our family, and so like Ali will go down to the basement and be like, "Hey, team," and the team are his buddies, and he'll be like, "Hey, team, do you mind if I eat goldfish in front of you?" And they're like, "No, it's fine." So he treats them like a little family. But to your point, Ethan, it's one of those things where, yeah, you have like really no clue unless you've actively like gone through it. And I think one of the things that Steph and I have been really surprised by is how early so much of that stuff happens. And how early they get a personality and how early they get, opinions about things and how quickly they adopt things. Like, Ollie's going to kindergarten now and he comes back with like, "Hey, let's play basketball." And we're like, "Really? Oh, okay." And he starts dribbling the ball, and you're like, "Whoa, you're good at this." And we've maybe like touched a ball one time, a basketball one time or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I just learned it from my friends at school." And you're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Or he went to the school library and brought back like a book on the Philadelphia Eagles. And we're like, "That's an odd choice, bud." And he's like, "Oh, my friends really like that team, and so I want to learn about the team." And we're like, "Okay."
Here comes a teaching point, son.
Yeah, right.
You're not going to like your friend's team and you're going to hate each other.
Right? It's like, I'm sorry, I hate to tell you. No, but and it's very clear that he picked it just because he thought it would be cool with his friends, because it's a book full of like stats and figures, and it's like the friends thought like this team is cool and you got it. And I get that, right? But it's so fascinating to watch that evolution happen and that growth just appear out of nowhere. And and where they get this stuff. Like, for instance, like Ollie's big passion is mech suits, robots, and like engineering and building stuff. And
he's gonna be all right.
Yeah, no, like peak. One of the things that we do on weekends is like draw imaginary like mech suits, and it's got saw blades for arms and spikes coming out of its shoulders, and it's super metal, but he wants everything to be like covered in rainbows and gold teeth, and he's into
more
like
metal.
It's a very blingy mech suit. It's incredible. It's simultaneously deadly and beautiful. But it's one of those things where Steph and I, for as many interests and passions and things as we have, and as many things as we study all the time, like we were not engineering people. We like math and we like science, but how things work and how they get manipulated and how to build things and engines and stuff like that, sports cars, were never things that we were interested in. And he just kind of like, that was his natural inclination and he just went with it. And so we've been having to kind of like, so what is the carburetor and what does it do? Or like, what does a V6 engine mean? And how is that different from and it's been really educational for us. The ice skating's another thing where it's like, it's given us the chance to, and an excuse to learn a lot of new things, which is really, really cool.
That's so nice.
Darn it, I've become that guy who
lovely.
talks about his kid all the time. Please, let's talk about games
I feel
or something
like when you have a kid,
online
it's
media.
like your whole life revolves around your kid.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's a lot.
take it from a guy whose his life didn't revolve around his kid. I appreciate people who talk about their kids a lot. You have a vested interest. You care. You're going to be there for his life and his big moments. So it's kind of cool.
I'm so excited for my nephew to have interests.
Yeah.
Like I went to visit him and there was a Lego store in the airport. And again, he's 6 months, so he's not real yet. But I'm like, I can't wait to like be the uncle that comes to visit and comes with like a new Lego set, or like, I'm so excited to see what his first like big interest is. I'm going to say it's going to be dinosaurs because my brother was a big dinosaur guy. So
not a shocker.
I'm banking on dinosaurs.
Did you have a favorite dinosaur when you were growing up?
I really like velociraptors a lot.
Man.
I was less into dinosaurs and I was more into horses.
Oh, cool.
Horses and dogs.
There's probably a connection there. Dinosaurs, horses, trace it back.
Right?
Brain leak.
I've been trying to get my ADHD medication for a very long time, and for some reason, the doctor's office is just such a pain to deal with. Either I can't get my prescriptions on time, or I can't get an appointment in a reasonable amount of time. Appointments now, you have to book them so far in advance. It's like, well, I need to go to the doctor now, not 4 months from now. And then I have to deal with the whole thing of like, okay, well, do I want to stick with the doctor that I have, or do I want to get a new doctor? But getting a new doctor is so difficult and it takes forever. It's terrible. But ZocDoc can help me out, and it can help you out too if you're having the same issues. ZocDoc is the place where you can find and book doctors in a reasonable amount of time. It's doctors that actually care, that doctors that are actually listening to you, and it's so easy and simple and convenient. And we're not talking about a few doctors. We're talking about tens of thousands of doctors who all have verified patient reviews, so you can check to see if you're going to vibe with this doctor before even booking the appointment. We all have to compromise on things in life, but don't compromise on your health. You want to try and get the best doctors that you can, and you want to do it in a place that is easy and simple to navigate. So if you want to try out ZocDoc for yourself, you can either get their free app, or you can go on their website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. You don't have to wait 12 years for an appointment. Once you find the doctor you want, book them immediately. You don't have to be on hold with a receptionist. And they make it easy too, where you can filter which doctors take your specific insurance, so you don't have to be like, oh, I like this doctor, and then find out once you've already booked the appointment that they don't actually take your insurance. So you have to start the whole process all over again. And again, the typical wait time on ZocDoc to see a doctor and book the appointment is typically 24 to 72 hours. So not months. You're waiting a day or two, not a year to get a doctor's appointment. So if you want to start prioritizing your health, you can go to ZocDoc.com/brainleak. That's ZocDoc.com/brainleak. Download the app for free and find your top-rated doctor today.
Brain leak.
There's a good family video that we have of me on, I don't know what birthday it was. But it's me opening up every present, and every present wasn't a dog, and so I cried every time I opened a present because I was like, I want a dog so bad. And every present wasn't a dog, so I just cried.
Oh man, that's
great.
Right? That is good. It's good to hear that too, because again, it's one of those things that you don't realize what you don't know until you have the kid, and each kid is completely different. But like for the first 2-3 years of Ollie's life, he hated Christmas, and what we learned later was it was the excitement and the energy and the noise. Like he's very sensitive to noise, right? And so all the like, you know, jingles and songs playing and even the crunch of the wrapping paper and stuff like that was overwhelming to him, especially when he was younger. Yeah. And we're like, and so every Christmas was like, you know, a kind of an ordeal, and we're like, what's wrong? Like, oh, it's Christmas, and we're like, oh, this sucks, man. Like you're so looking forward to like that Christmas with your kid and this and that, and it's like, oh, this is tough. Exactly to your point, it's one of those. It could be anything from like, hey, this was not the present that I was looking for, or like, oh, this, you know, kids get in their heads like everything has to be perfect. Like that's another thing where like Ollie's, he is like the epitome of Steph and I, so he's like type AAA, where it's like everything has to be perfect all the time, and so if we, you know, do it the wrong way, or if he's not prepared to show off a thing and we see it early, or if it doesn't go quite the way he expected, like it's a big ordeal. And it's like, hey, you know, learning how to behave and be okay if things don't go right, or kind of like go with the flow and stuff. Like that's a big part of it, but it's all stuff that you have to learn, and it's a learning, and again, it's a learning process for them, and it's a learning process for you.
Yeah, I think I was kind of like that as a kid, because I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters, so I grew up in a pretty big family, and then it was a lot of like, nobody really taught me to do anything, so I was kind of like looking at everybody and learning how to do everything myself. And then it was that reveal moment, being like, look, I can do this thing. I learned how to swim by watching everybody else. I learned how to run and jump and all these kinds of things. But if they saw it too early, I'm like, no, I'm in my prep phase. I'm like Batman fighting Superman. I'm prepping. I'm not ready yet.
Look away. Right, still got to work on your kryptonite gas.
Or if somebody like threw big emotions at me, or something like the Christmas thing, if something big happened all at once, I would kind of like break down and cry and kind of like revert into myself. And I was like, I don't know how to deal with anything.
Yeah. No, the birthday song is actually Ali's least favorite song. Like we like on his birthday, we actually ask him like, "Hey, do you want us?" We've again over multiple years of learning. It's like, "Hey, when this song is sung, you get upset." And so cuz all the attention's on him, he feels like there's a lot of pressure around the cake and this and that. It's like, "Hey, do you want people to gather around you and for you to blow out your candles in front of everyone?" And usually it's no. And then it's like, "Hey, do you want us to sing that, do you want mommy and daddy to sing you the birthday song?" And it's like, no. Last year we sang him a snippet of the Pokemon theme song because that was his
We
birthday
got to
song.
make requests.
Yeah. I mean, it's birthday, positive
One
parenting
day a year
2024.
I get, and I could have picked any song. Can you guys sing "My Way" by Frank Sinatra while I blow out the candles?
You know what? Let's do it. Next birthday, I'm there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll
That's all I
dress up-
want. Birthday song sucks. Everyone's off key.
Oh, it's
no one
terrible.
knows the tempo. Other people are over there washing their hands because they heard you're supposed to like wash your hands and sing "Happy Birthday" twice, and they don't know what's going on because that's the length of the time you're supposed to wash your hands. So they're over washing their hands. People are singing "Happy Birthday," and they're like, "What's going on?" I'm crying.
Oh man, a happy birthday to us all. That's amazing. Yeah,
Thank
I mean, you say the word and I will be there in a heartbeat and I will sing "My Way." I will sing "Never Gonna Give You Up." I will sing "Numa Numa." Like whatever you want, man.
Damn.
It's
I gotta think
you're-
about a good song for my birthday.
You're the birthday boy.
Yeah.
You do what you want.
You only get one day a year. Mm-hmm. You gotta
Yeah.
make it yours.
Did you guys have themed birthdays when you were growing up?
No, if the theme was sadness.
Wow, this is dark.
No, my birthdays were great, but I never had themes.
No, you weren't like, oh, I want a Pokemon theme or whatever. Like, I know one of mine was, like, I had a bowling theme one year because, again, I grew up in the Midwest and bowling is a national sport in the Midwest. So if you're getting less than 8 pins on any given frame, you're like the black sheep of the family. You're disowned. Bowling and Jenga. There was one year that we did like a science theme. And then I think the strangest but also most memorable to me was we did this one year where I invited a small group of my friends to this like mystery dinner theater in Cleveland, Ohio, and like it was kind of like a dinner. It was like a dinner theater show, but it was a mystery, and you were a part of it, kind of like Among Us or something. And you're going around and role playing, and then by the end you have to figure out who done it. It was awesome. It was so cool.
That rules.
Your birthday parties were way cooler than my birthday parties.
Sorry.
The only theme I remember is one year I invited all my friends. My aunt was like, I think it was my 10th birthday. And she was like, I want to throw you like a really great birthday party. What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to go karting. And there was a go-kart place in the next town over. And so she was like, all right, I'm going to book you an hour at the go-kart place. You can bring all your friends. So I invited all my friends. And the day came and only one person showed up.
No.
And to this day, he's like still like my closest friend. He was the only one that showed up. And at first I was sad, but then I was like, oh, it's just going to be me and him on the track alone for an hour. Yeah. And it was awesome.
Yeah, inviting a lot of people to your birthday party sucks. Because it's just a bunch of people you don't want to be around. All you want to do is get toys and peace out, and that's it.
Well, right.
That's all I wanted to do.
It's a give and take, right? It's like the more people you invite, the more presents you get, but also the more people you invite, the more you have to hang out with them. So
yeah, then it's not about me. It's not my birthday anymore. It's everybody. It's like a wedding. It's like you throw a massive wedding for all your family and relatives and everything, and then it's like, who's this for anymore? Is it for them to all hang around and eat?
Oh, right. Like I think that's one of the things that you realize as you get older is like the more and more like social events and parties and things that you go to. It's like, no, they're not for you to have fun. They're for everyone else to have fun or celebrate or whatever. You call out wedding. Oh my gosh, the wedding. Like Steph, planning our wedding got to be so infuriating at a certain point that Steph and I almost just were like, we're calling it off. We're just going to elope, like forget this. Like we're just going to do it. Because exactly to your point, like we go in with this mentality of like, hey, this is our big day. This is celebration of our relationship. Like we want this to be purely us. And then all of a sudden you have parents who are coming in and being like, well, make sure there's enough space in the invite list for X work friend. And we're like, who's that guy? Like, we've never met that guy, but he's big at my company, or like, oh, this person who's worked at my, it's like, we have no connection to those people. Why would we invite people that we've never met to our events? And eventually we found a compromise and we did make it like purely ourselves, and it turned out great. But it was one of those things that there was definitely that moment where like, we're not planning your party. We're planning a party for us. This isn't like some company networking event for you guys.
Yeah.
My brother and my sister-in-law did it in such a good way where they eloped, and then they were like, we have family all over the place. If we do a wedding, one, it's going to be $1 kajillion, but two, like, so much family would have to come from everywhere. So they were like, we're going to elope our family. Your job is we will visit you guys. The next time we visit you, you throw us a party for like our marriage. So you can invite whoever. And so like they went back home to Maine where I grew up, and my mom like threw a big party for them, and they didn't have to worry about anything. And it was also like, it was a bunch of family, but also like you were just saying, a bunch of like random people that they like kind of knew. And I was like, oh, that's the way to do it. Get somebody else to just throw a party for you every time you go and visit them for your wedding for the next year or whatever.
That's a smart way of doing it. I like that. And also it puts the pressure off for you. It means you get to have multiple parties. Like that's a cool one. I think in general, right? Like with the internet, and with YouTube and Instagram and just like blog, like even back into the days of blog posts and stuff, right? Like you're seeing the breakdown of a lot of those sorts of institutions or those sorts of traditions that like kind of sucked, and everyone was kind of aware that they sucked, but you kind of had to do them because they were expected of you. And bit by bit, people are able to be a little bit more open and a little bit more honest about like, hey, that was kind of disappointing. Like this whole thing kind of sucks. Like there's probably a better way to do it. And historically speaking, you wouldn't be able to do that, because if you did, you would offend everyone. But as a society, as we kind of have these conversations and reassess what's good, what's bad, what do you want to keep, what don't you? It's starting to give you that permission of like, hey, maybe we should like do throw me a party, or like maybe we should rethink how weddings are structured and things like that. It's cool. It's one of the benefits of the internet.
Friendly.
I don't know about you guys, but I am a hot sleeper. I wake up sometimes drenched in sweat, and it's not comfortable at all. I don't know what's happening in my dreams, but I'm just sweating. I think I'm running marathons in my sleep. I don't know what's happening, but it's uncomfortable. And sleep time is supposed to be the comfiest time of the day. So where am I going wrong? Honestly, it's probably my sheets, which is why I'm changing to Miracle Made. The temperature at which you sleep has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you're sleeping too hot, if you're sleeping too cold, that's why Miracle Made sheets are incredible. They're inspired by NASA. Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics that make temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. No more waking up drenched in pool of sweat like me. Miracle Made also offers a whole line of self-cleaning antibacterial bedding such as sheets, pillowcases, and comforters that prevent up to 99.7% of bacteria growth and require up to 3 times less laundry. And not to mention, they're comfortable. Very, very comfortable. Very soft. You're going to start sleeping better at a better temperature. You're going to start sleeping with sheets that are better for your skin. No more bacteria causing breakouts and acne. And it's going to be comfortable as hell, dude. So go to trymiracle.com/brain. That's trymiracle.com/brain to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or for someone else, if you order today, you can save over 40% if you use our promo code BRAIN, that's BRAIN, at checkout, and you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. That's 60% potentially. And 3 free towels. That's sweet. Go to trymiracle.com/brain. Use promo code BRAIN to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/brain.
Friendly.
As a good segue, MatPat, what is bad about YouTube and why did it make you leave?
Wow. Man, what is
I was just thinking, I was like, we have MatPat on the podcast and we should just ask him fun questions.
Sure, no, please.
I also love that because it's you, Matt, we never did an intro because you absolutely don't need an introduction.
That's
I
sweet of
love
you.
how
Thanks,
we just went in talking. This is great.
Oh wait, have we been on the podcast this entire time? Damn it! Oh,
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess so.
was the
Sorry,
the
bud.
clapping-
Everyone knows now.
Oh man. Oh, that was all my private conversation. Okay, yeah. So hi, I'm
No.
MatPat. I retired recently, but I'm still doing way too
Famous
much work.
retiree.
Yeah,
And
famous.
he's trying. This is an intervention for me and Ethan to figure out why we're still here and why we're doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
I'm just
former
curious
YouTuber
because
MatPat.
there's been a lot of talk about other people, and like even Call Me Kevin, an Irish YouTuber friend of mine.
Yep.
He made a video where he's stepping back and everything, and I've been thinking about it a lot, and I'm wondering why everybody at the same time is sort of feeling the same thing, and I wonder if it even is the same thing, because when I talked about it, I was like, this is my experience, and I don't want to say like, oh, gaming's not what it used to be, or the algorithm's tougher than it's ever been, or things are too idea driven more so than just naturalistic.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't know if that's just me or if it's the whole platform as a whole. And
No,
you've
all
been
those-
doing
all those
stuff
are
that's
true.
not just uploading. You've done like analytic work with other people and helped out behind the scenes. So I'm curious what your take on it all is.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's all those things and more, right? Like I like you are right, and then plus. I mean, so me personally is a separate issue, but if we're just talking about YouTube as a platform, right? The algorithm is harder now than it's ever been. It is harder now to be especially a mid-tier creator than it's ever been, but a creator across the board, right? Because Shorts is taking up more screen real estate, and so it's harder to be consistent with your uploads in terms like get consistent performance in your uploads. Like it's much more trends based than it was before. So there's a much stronger shift in the rise and fall of channels, or kind of like this was a good performer, this was a bad performer. So if you're not in the moment, performance is going to be harder. It's a lot less, and as a result of all of that, it's a lot less creator-driven and channel-driven. It really, YouTube has been scared of TikTok for a while. TikTok, came in, did much more damage to like the demographics that were watching YouTube than they expected, and now it's been a lot of like let's clamor back and try to claw back some of that audience, right? And as a result, there's been a lot of cribs notes on the TikTok algorithm and applying it to YouTube. So it's much the memory on YouTube is a lot shorter in terms of, hey, you search for a thing or you watch this video, let's give you more of that stuff. They're also trying to encourage you to watch more very small channels, like micro channels with 10, 100 views here and there. So right now, YouTube as a system and the recommendation algorithm is servant to like 5 separate masters, and that's really hard to juggle. It makes it really hard to create consistent programming around all of that. That's issue 1. Issue 2 is exactly what you said, which is, hey, it is much more idea driven than organic, right? Long gone. It's very much the big spectacle piece. What is the what's the hook? What's the thesis? How's the thumbnail play into? Like it is much more corporatized, and from the get-go, you have to think through all steps in that process. And does your thumbnail match the opening seconds of your video? Is the thesis immediately prevalent there? And then how's that trickle down? You are seeing a little bit of a reassessment of that and like the pendulum is swinging back a little bit. I think Ryan Trahan is a really good channel to watch, where he takes that idea driven content but brings the production level back down to kind of like an authentic, attainable way where it feels much more of a conversation, but it is still very like joke, bit, funny. Like it has to be much more jam-packed in order to retain that retention time, draw people through it, get satisfaction, all that stuff. So there's a lot of platform stuff, but there's also, I mean, I had a kid and he's turning 5, he's turning 6, and that changes your priorities in a lot of ways. How long have you been doing it for at this point?
I've been doing it 11 years.
Right, exactly, right? Yeah. So this is the time where doing something for 10 years, that is a long time, right? And especially when you look at the job market nowadays, a lot of people, unless you're working at your job and you're a lifer, right? In general, you tend to see people pivoting their jobs every 2 to 3 years. roughly, as they kind of move between jobs or kind of like.
Meanwhile, everyone watching this podcast is like, was I supposed to be doing that? Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. No, it's what you've seen is with the gig economy, with the shifting of the economic climate, this and that, you see people kind of jumping between jobs on a faster basis than you used to before. But on YouTube, yeah, you've been doing it for 10, 11 years. I've been doing it for 13 years. And it's one of those things that we are finally in a generation where the platform is old enough and it's been established enough for long enough that people have been doing it for a long time. They've been grinding away weekly videos multiple times a week, even if you're doing a monthly video, like it's a lot of work to do and a lot of balls to juggle. And it encompasses a lot. It hangs in your head all the time. And on a plus side, a lot of those people have the ability to retire. They have the financial means to retire, or they've set aside other businesses, they've launched other things, or it's just time to do something else and take that experience and pivot somewhere else. And so not only is it like, wow, I'm tired, but it's also like, why am I still doing this if I don't have to do this? Like, do I still have more that I'm looking to get out of this, or am I just on this treadmill because momentum is a heck of a thing? And inertia is tough to break. And I think that's a big part of it too. It's, there's that idea of like, I've worked this long to build up this thing, and to walk away from it, to close it down, whatever. I think a lot of people maybe associate it with being like a failure in some way, or like, oh, then what did I do it for? And it's like, well, it's everything that you've done up to this point. Like that is the culmination of it, and that's great. But, at a certain point, you kind of have to decide what the end of your story looks like, and where you want it to end, and kind of what's next. And it's hard to kind of do that assessment, but we were in a fortunate position where we're in a place where I can step away and the channel can continue in whatever capacity it does. But things like that. But yeah, no. So there's all sorts of factors all coming together all at the same time that's making all of these conversations happen, for sure.
Going off of what you were just talking about, in your video, you talked about how you've been doing YouTube for a third of your life. Yeah. And Sean, that was pretty much the same for you, yeah?
Yeah, exactly a third.
I'm 27. I started YouTube when I was 15. I've always thought of YouTube as less of a job and more of like a lifestyle in a sense.
Yeah.
When you stopped, because I'm also having the thoughts because it's been forever of like, oh, when am I going to stop? Has it been a weird transition from you coming off of the channel and going into retirement as far as identity goes? Because I was talking to my therapist about that, and I was like, when I stop YouTube, I don't know if I'll like know who I am anymore, because this is so much of me, and I wonder what your experience is with that.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and I've actually heard that from a lot of people who've talked to me in the aftermath of both the initial announcement video as well as kind of like the final episodes that I did. I mean, the whole 10-week countdown to me leaving was. And even before that, it's been basically a year-long grieving process, because we've called the business and the YouTube channels and this and that like my first kid, technically second because we got Skip, my cat, around the same time. So like, but those were like the first children, right? And they take that much time and that much care and that much attention. And in a lot of ways, this transition for us has been like sending them away to college, where it's like, hey, you're grown up. You got to have the life of your own, and you're going to live on, and you're going to make mistakes, and things are going to be good and things are going to be bad, and we're going to watch you from afar and celebrate your victories and be bummed out by the losses or whatever. But it's like, hey, good for you. Like, it's cool to have created something that can live on. It's parenthood again, only in a business standpoint.
Wait, so if you're able to get other people to take it over, and that means you're sending them off to college, does that mean when we quit, we just kill our kid? Is the kid just dead, Matt?
No,
where does the kid go if there's no one to take it over?
Jack Spadici too. That's it.
Oh no, existential.
No. I think for you, I think for you guys, it's different, right? It's a memoir of your work and it's a memoir of your life, right? I think like for me, it's a kid that is, and it's a business, right? Like I think Ethan, you and I, like, we run different YouTube channels. We have a format-driven YouTube channel that has personality elements to it. You run a personality channel, and so this is, in the truest sense of YouTube, what YouTube was born in, a journal, a diary, a personal assessment and projection of who you are in this moment and your growth and evolution as a creator. And that's beautiful. And game theory is that too for me, but also there's a format underlying it that allows it to kind of like carry on in a business, a pretty substantial business at this point underneath it that like continues forward, in a business that's like, hey, if I can be less involved in that would be fantastic, because I do not want to be a business person. But it's just exhausting all the time. So you're not killing any kids. Don't worry. I think you're all good. If anything, you're just writing your closing chapters. But again, like to that grieving process, it's literally it was a year and especially like 6 months of unwinding myself from so many processes that I've been a part of. It's like, oh, that is the last time that I'm standing in front of that green screen doing a short, or like, oh, that is the last time that I'm sitting down polishing a script, or that is the last time I'm standing in the recording booth and saying, buddy, that's just a theory. And and some were better than others, like saying goodbye to shorts. I'm like, woohoo, that was fun. Saying goodbye, saying goodbye to the catchphrase in the recording booth, that was emotional, and I cry a lot. I'm very emotional, and so like there was a lot of tears shed throughout that process, and a lot of like, coping with it and sitting there and kind of processing your evolving relationship with that space, with those spaces, with those people, things like that. So there is, and it's a step-by-step process, and it was really a step-by-step process. And the 10-week countdown was me getting to celebrate and reflect and have those moments of like, hey, look at how far I've been able to come, and look at that journey that we've collectively been on together as a community. So that way I felt good about those notes and got closure on a lot of the things that were kind of lingering and stuff like that. So it was good for me. It was good for the audience. And you do kind of like come back down, and it's kind of like that gradual stepping down process back into like normal human being. To the identity issue, it's interesting because it never leaves you. It's always there, right? Like I brought up at the very beginning of this thing, where it's like I still get stopped on the ice at the ice rink. I get stopped all the time. Like it's pretty constant, and it's one of those things where like game theory doesn't leave in the conversations that you have like around it, and like, oh, you were still my childhood and this and that, and the memories still exist and they've still influenced you. So it doesn't leave. It's just that your relationship changes with it and you move forward and you grow on. But at the same time too, like I'm the type of person who has always had a fairly decent core sense of self, right? Like I've always kind of I'm a nerd. I'm pretty proud of being a nerd. I am definitely lame. Don't have many friends, which hey made birthday party invites very easy. Meant I got a high quality over quantity when it came to the presents. And I was the kid who was in college like dancing at the bus stop with like the bright green jacket and like the purple tie with like white polka dots and didn't care what people thought of me, right? And so this has been a part of me and a part of my journey and a creative thing that I've done, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm still creative, that I'm still, a nerd, that I'm still intellectually curious. And what it does is it affords me the chance now to continue growing and continue to change and continue to learn. And who knows, at some point that might come back in the form of something else. Like I still have this passion for teaching and exposing people to like the cool bits and pieces of the world. And YouTube's a great platform for doing that, and I just need to, figure out like, does it make sense? Like, do I want to hop back into that sort of thing? Or are there other ways to do that? Or, am I going to relax and be a big bum and catch up on like the year's worth of games that I've never got to play? Like, we'll see, but I don't know. I haven't seen myself bored in a long time, and I still am not there yet, but I'm excited to see what I become when I'm bored for a little bit and what ideas generate when I'm not just in the weeds of it every single day.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm sort of at right now, because I said to people that I have like 2 years max left in me doing it the way I'm doing it, because for me, it's like when you start doing it, it's like, oh, this thing is successful. It's super cool. It's the best thing I've ever done with my life. I'm going to clutch my pearls so close and run with it as hard as I can and work so hard with it. And there was almost like an art form to making the videos back then and the way they were. And I feel like that sort of like artistry in it is sort of gone, for lack of a better word. Like you were saying, a lot of YouTube feels sort of homogenous now. It feels like everything is sort of being boiled down to the same sorts of templates, and you kind of see the same stuff everywhere. And it's interesting that you said about mid-tier creators, because I didn't think about that. I kept seeing like smaller creators, and I'm like, well, it's still good that people are still able to make a living out of it, but it's like you're here or you're here. That was kind of it.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm also like that. I want to like get back into something that like challenges me and grows me and helps me learn. And I feel like the way I'm doing YouTube videos, it's like, it's so easy to sit down and record a Let's Play that I'm like, I'm not challenged by that. And I could change it, but it's like, I kind of want to do something else. I want to like see if I can write stuff. I want to see if I can make narrative driven content. I want to see if I can like create characters that go further. All these different types of things, like even draw. I've been like painting miniatures. I'm like, that's a fun process to learn. I've never been artistic in my life beyond like creating content in a way. So I'm like you said, it's good to like, you need to let your brain settle, let the silt sort of go down. And then it's like, okay, what ideas float to the surface again? Because otherwise you can't. Otherwise it's rapids. There's no settling to the water at all. By the way, you're new here. I like analogies, so that's my thing. You're going to learn that everything boils down to water analogies.
I love it. No, and I think it's a great analogy, and I think you're absolutely right. You know, when you're doing it, and you're doing it every single week, and you feel the pressure of the algorithm and this and that, like you are in the rapids, and stuff is churning all the time, and you're rushing to get the next video done, and you're juggling all the production elements, and there's all the long-term stuff and the short-term stuff. Like it's constant. You're getting inundated all the time, and you're in your little raft paddling, and you're getting splashed on all sides, and you're like holding on for dear life, right? And the analogy of the water settling and having that moment of like peace and quiet, and then like letting kind of the noise fall away and being like, what do I like? Like who am I? Like what do I enjoy at this point, or where do I want to pursue next? What do I want to learn about? Is exactly right. And to your point, you know, you could play the game. Like I think YouTube is still like the evolution of what creative content is. The game has shifted. It's tighter. It requires a very specific style of editing and processing and very specific format, which is tough. And the question is like, hey, do you want to play that game or do you not? Like, we've been consultants for 10 years, you know, and like you called out earlier, like I've been in the analytics since the very beginning because game theory took a long time to produce, and I liked numbers, and so I would always analyze the data and run all these tests and stuff, right? And as a result, we've consulted 250 different channels over the years. We've worked with a ton of big brands and helped them with influencer strategies. We've consulted people on their programming. Like we've done literally everything, and we've touched a lot more things than I think people really realize. But it's one of those things where one of the things that we always say as consultants is like, hey, we're going to equip you with the knowledge that you need to have the maximum amount of success as we understand it, right? Like, here's how the editing needs to look. Here's how the format needs to be. Here's how your thumbnail should flow. Here's how other people in the vertical are doing it, right? Here's the laundry list of everything. And we just want to give you that knowledge so you can choose what is right for you and your brand and your content, right? Like, what is right for you and your creative. Because you could follow all of them, but is that true to your content? Is that like what you want to do? Like at a certain point, like for me, like for instance, I recognize very clearly that game theory, you know, it's never going to be like, I had to grapple early on where I'm like, I will never be the number one channel on YouTube, number one most subscribed, because there's a upper limit to the number of people who want to nerd out about video games, and there's especially an upper limit of people who want to do that about a variety of video games, you know, not just like focus on one piece of content all the time. The fact that it's educational, the viewing style, this and that, like there are certain concessions that you have to make. I also recognize that our episodes are longer and more narrative, and that there are ways that we could streamline them, and that there are parts of that process that we could cut to make them more successful. But I'm like, but then you're losing the creativity and kind of like like you said, the artistry of it, or kind of like what my vision of that thing would be. And so, you know, we kind of leave it to the side. Like I can tell you, analytically speaking, a cold open of a video that is skit based is less effective than if we do just like here's the thesis of the video and we're going to prove it and And that is the more optimized solution. but is it the
Yeah.
right solution for you and the creative product that you want to get out? And it's a give and take, and it's you as a creator, as a creative, deciding what is right for you, and kind of where do you draw your line? Is it all about performance and numbers, and you just want it to do as well as possible? Great, then there's a playbook for that. But do you want it to have a certain quality or a certain feel or vibe or emotion or things like that? Then you're going to sacrifice some of the viewership, you're going to sacrifice some of the performance, but you might be happier with the end result and kind of the quality that you've put out there.
Yeah. It's just kind of a shame that that's what the bulk of YouTube kind of is. Like, if you go to YouTube and you're watching it as a casual viewer, like, a lot of people judge the system based on the numbers and like, this creator's the biggest in the world and we're following him because that's a cool thing to do. It was the same with like when Felix was becoming the biggest in the world, and then everyone loved that, and then as soon as he was, everyone was like, that's it, we're done. Time to bounce off of that and do something else. So it is a shame that the numbers part of it is so prevalent, because I think Jesus.
Right, I was going to say, your headphones are attacking you right now. Are you okay? Hold on.
Because we've been doing it for so long that we've like seen stuff come and go and go in and out. But I think a lot about people who, like, when I started, I was like, man, this is cool. Somebody's doing this. They're getting paid to do it. I didn't know that was a thing. That's completely gone now. You don't, like, everyone knows you get paid to do YouTube now. But I worry about the people who are sitting in the rooms who are like, I want to do it. And the hurdle seems so, it's like a Sisyphean task now to actually make a YouTube channel and roll that ball up the hill constantly just to have it crush you constantly. So it's kind of sad that some of that homegrown sort of organic feel to it is gone. I think maybe it'll swing back. Maybe that pendulum's coming back, and it's because it was kind of overproduced in the beginning when I was starting out. There was a lot of that kind of content, and then I think my wave of content was a lot more like, just sit back, listen, talk, be yourself. It's all personality driven. And now that's kind of going out, and it's ideas, it's production, it's editing. So I'm just curious if we're coming back down out of that slope at all ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pendulum swinging, and there's a couple of factors that all play into this, right? So on one side, you definitely have the audience, and the audience, I think you are seeing kind of that pushback where there is, like I called out Ryan Trahan before with his kind of like more rudimentary production style. And there's a couple fitness channels that have been doing really well lately where it's like, hey, I'm just vlogging my life for an hour and you're just kind of hanging out with me in the grocery store and we're walking and talking, and that's sort of like long form, unedited, relatable content feels good for a lot of people, and you're seeing a kind of a pushback into that kind of organic feel of things. So there will always be kind of like a swing back and forth for sure. That being said, and the other side of that too is shorts, right? I think part of the reason why YouTube has really pushed shorts is that instead of the system being dominated by a couple of large creators, now anyone can have TikTok is the same thing, right? Where every video that you upload is a lottery ticket. And it's like, this could get 10 views or this could get 10 million views, right? And it could come from anywhere. And by the nature of TikTok, the production value expectation is much lower. In fact, it works better if it's less produced on TikTok, whereas on YouTube, YouTube Shorts requires higher production value. Fun fact, we've run the numbers. Let me tell you about all the secret A/B testing we've done. But no, that sort of stuff works. Like, YouTube is a much more polished platform with production value. TikTok, if you have too much production value, people immediately click off and swipe away. But it's as a result, it's opened the door for more voices and more different creators of all different tiers. So there is a benefit to that. But by putting you into a feed of content, right? You no longer connect with the creator, because the creator is no longer the focus, right? If you think about YouTube, I go to the channel page and I'm watching Jacksepticeye, or I'm watching Crank Gameplays. I know you, I know your brand. Maybe you have a catchphrase, maybe you have a logo or an intro or something like that, right? And so I know and to find your videos again, I'm searching for Crank Gameplays again. But it's one of those things where on TikTok or Shorts, the actual like creator branding is like a small thing in the corner and you can't see it and you're not going to click on it. You're loyal to the scroll. You're loyal to the platform. Like, when people talk about TikTok, they're like, I love TikTok. It's not like, I love that creator, or, there's this one person that I really connect with. And so you lose a lot of that, which I think is the shame of it. So that's part one, and then part two is, to that idea of can we get it back? Just like with the consulting stuff, and as a creator and as a creative, you kind of choose where you set your line to. The trick of where we are today is that mobile games, in the food world, in the entertainment world, and especially here in digital video, everything is designed with neuroscience principles behind it, right? Like they know, hey, you getting a good video or you getting a reward in a mobile game or whatever, that's a shot of dopamine in your brain. And we have calculated to like the minute how long it is before your brain's ready to give you another shot of dopamine. And so we're going to a couple of dud video. Oh, another dopamine shot. And so everything right now in the world, it's kind of crazy, but like everything is designed with a lot of these like brain chemistry principles underneath them, and they're designed to addict you and to hook you and to get you, on the platform for as long as possible, scrolling or swiping or whatever and watching. And the trick is you are in a system where are there better ways to do it? And is there more wholesome content? Is there stuff that is more substantial? Whatever. Yeah, absolutely. But the algorithm, our brains aren't wired to do that, like to react that way. And for the platforms to, know that and actively move away from it, they are choosing something that hurts their bottom line. Well, we're only going to provide you educational content, or we're only going to provide you stuff that is, more egalitarian or shows off X, that's more artistic or whatever. The platform will automatically be underserving itself because it's not optimized and there's always going to be another platform that's going to pop in, if it's a race to the bottom. And so you're in this kind of catch-22 now where the Pandora's box has been opened, and we know that, how to design these things so that way people are in it and they're locked in and they're going to be locked in for hours on end. And it's like, well, if I'm not going to do it, someone else is, and they're going to profit off of it. So you need to figure, like, what is the solution there? It's tricky. That's the big question. Is there a solution, or has that box been, unpacked?
That's it. I'm taking the kid out to the back. I'm shooting him. It's over, guys. The kid is dead. There's no college. There's no money left. There's no education good enough.
It's weird hearing you talk about, you said this a while ago, but I was thinking about it this
Sorry, I
entire
talked
time
so long. I apologize.
Oh,
It's your
that's why you're
podcast,
here,
baby.
baby.
You are the guest. That's why you're here.
Please shut me up at some point. I'm so sick of hearing myself. I had to quit YouTube because I was sick of hearing myself talk.
Yeah, that's the real reason why you stopped.
Here's all this talk about platform changes and having a kid and this, and I'm just sick of myself, Sean. I'm so sick of myself.
So sick of it. No, but hearing you talk about something that I haven't really thought of before was like mid-tier YouTubers, because I would consider myself a mid-tier YouTuber where,
which I think is kind of sad if a 2 million subscriber YouTube channel is considered mid-tier.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to say is like, I know that 2 million is a large number, but in the grand scheme of YouTube now, where, the top channel is what, like 200 plus million or whatever Mr. Beast has, I don't know. It is weird to be a channel of 2 million subs and be like, okay, that's like mid-tier. But the swing is so large, I feel like, for channels my size, where one video will do 1 million views and then the next video will do 100K or even less. And so there's such a big swing, and it feels, and maybe this is me doing things wrong, but it feels sort of unpredictable at this level sometimes. And I feel like in the past, it was a lot easier to predict, okay, I know this video is going to do really well. And now I'm like, I actually don't know, because now it's like, oh, I know this video is going to do sweet. I thought it was really funny and blah, 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 blah. And then I post it and it's like, oh, okay, I guess the platform didn't like it. Oh well.
I think that's the sad part of algorithmic content, is that you don't know what went wrong, so you just have to put the blame on yourself and the onus is on you, and you could have done everything right and it still couldn't have worked.
No,
you could have hit a template perfectly and it could have still been a dud. You never know.
100%. And I think, that's one of the reasons why, talking about YouTube optimization and one of those things has been such an important part of me and my role in this world and this and that, so that way people are empowered to make better creative content or to understand that it's not just them, right? Like that there are so many factors at play that are not in your control when you do this sort of thing. And I hate using the phrase mid-tier creator because it feels like I did a video all back in the day where we had like 10 million subscribers and we were called a mid-tier creator. Like that was, I get sent the package for mid-tier creators and it's like, thanks guys, appreciate that.
Sorry guys, it's my fault.
Right, I know you're raising the curve, man. Come on.
Not anymore. I'm not.
Fucking it up.
Right. But it is. It's one of those things where like when I say mid-tier creator for the sake of clarity, it's people who have been successful enough on the platform where they're able to do it full time and have dedicated their life to content creation, but don't have massive teams around them. So, like they might have 1, 2, maybe 3 employees, maybe an editor, maybe a designer, thumbnail artist, whatever, like a couple people hanging out around them to help them, but it's not to the scale of like a theorist or someone who's much more established where there's a large team around them and they're able to churn out content on a fairly regular basis. And the reason I say it's so hard is exactly what you called out, which is it is unpredictable and it is hard to read the algorithm. And as screen real estate on YouTube is more competitive than ever and is trying to serve you small creators and a ton of shorts and the people that you like, but then also something that's trendy with something that you just recently watched. It's instead of having a lot of slots available for your video to be shown up there, if it doesn't perform quickly and efficiently and hooks people immediately, you're not going to get shared as widely, and you're going to see those numbers that are like 10K, 20K, like the lower performance relative to what you would expect, right? And that sucks when you are in a position where other people's livelihoods are resting on that paycheck. Or when you are, hey, we're all in this together, and it's hard for me to pay you right now because the AdSense is unpredictable. It used to be like, hey, I could expect a steady stream of about this amount, and you get this, and you get this, and we can design it, whatever, and that's great. But now when it's like, woo, we're up here, and now we're down here, and now we're up here, that's why I say it's so hard for people to cross through that mid-tier channel and get to the other side of it, because it is so unpredictable to build a business on this platform, and it's more unstable now than I think than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Do you think it's still possible? Because I remember this kept getting thrown around when my channel was growing, was like, oh, this is the last generation of people who are really going to explode on YouTube. And there's been a few channels that had like meteoric growth so quickly. And I've been hearing that for so long that like Mr. Beast is the last creator that's ever going to explode like that. And then someone like Ryan Trahan comes along and does it. Do you think it's still possible for people to do that? Or is it just not, I guess, is it even noteworthy anymore if people do that because so many people have accomplished it at this point?
Well, yeah, I think it's a couple things. I think first off, Mr. Beast is probably the last one who will matter. For lack of a better term. And there's again couple things at play. I'm sorry. I'm like, I wish I had like an efficient answer for everything, but it's always like, there's 3 things. Here's the 3
that's
things.
what the podcast is for.
Right? Long form content is great because we can talk about that stuff.
You're out of the algorithm, Matt.
It's true. It's great.
You're free.
I'm going ice skating and it's going to be wonderful. I'm
this
skating right now.
This doesn't have to be edited to a certain amount.
I'm ice skating as we speak on this podcast. It's a couple different things, right? So first off, YouTube is more siloed than it's ever been. And by that I mean
I don't get what that means.
So when I say siloed, it means like you are in your bubble and it is hard to break out of your bubble. Last year we were hired on by Google to consult them at a couple sessions across the country, and it was all about like building up our business as a creator and how did we use Google products to grow and this and that, and so we consulted a lot of really cool rooms and had a lot of really cool conversations. But one of the things that I kept using in a lot of those conversations just to kind of like get the room's attention was I'm like, hey, this was like mid last year, like early summer or something like that, and I'm like, hey, how many of you have heard of Skibbity Toilet? And no one in the room raised their hand. No one. And I'm like, no one's seen a video, no one's heard of this, nothing, right? And no one, right? Crickets. And
this is your Undertale Pope moment again.
Crickets, right? And it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, Well, just so you know, here's the graph of Skibbity Toilet, and I show him, and it's like last month or like 2 months ago, 25 million subscribers overnight and 2 billion views. And I'm like, right now, Skibbity Toilet is the most successful thing on your platform or on this platform, and no one has heard of it. Like eventually, like it took till the end of the summer or like a couple months later for people to like start having a cultural conversation around it. But I'm like, this thing is everywhere and it is crushing, and none of you have seen it. And I'm like, look at, and again, we keep tossing out Ryan, but I'm like, Ryan Trahan, I watch a lot of his videos, and I think he's great, and I think he's really talented, and I have very rarely served up his content on my feed. Yeah. And that's what I mean by siloed. It means like you are in your bubble, and you're in your kind of silo, and discovering new stuff is really hard. And so you can, like if I asked you, like, how many subscribers does Mark Rober have, right now?
Mm-hmm. No idea.
It would be...
50 million.
50 million. Okay, good one. Yeah, you're about right. So he gained like 10 million subscribers, 15 million subscribers over the last couple months. And it's one of those things where people don't know those stories anymore. And it used to be when there was, a cultural fabric across here, like everyone kind of knew what other people were doing. There were kind of those cross-genre trends, and you were able to kind of like create those content flywheels and things like that. That doesn't exist anymore just because of how the platform operates and how, again, it goes back to like the short-term memory, it goes to your watch habits, it goes to the evolution of the platform. But yeah, it's become harder and harder to kind of break through and have those voices cross over and do that sort of thing. Exactly what you said before. A lot of other people have done it at this point, and so having someone kind of like rise up, it would take a lot to kind of like have that sort of like cultural voice and to be able to like, once someone hits 200 million subscribers, it's like the numbers are meaningless. And also subscribership at this point is an antiquated metric. Like we all kind of recognize at this point.
Yeah,
like,
I keep telling people that. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The system has outsmarted subscribership. It's there because it's a fun incentive and it's a fun metric, and it's cool to get a golden play button, and that's something to shoot for, and that's very easy and quantifiable. When in actuality, the true metric of success is average views per video, but no one's like, who the AVD guys, what is average views per video? Yeah, it's AVV. Like,
yeah, I feel like watch time and stuff like that has been the king forever.
Yeah,
but people just didn't know.
No, and it's not as sexy of a metric. It's not like front and center, and you don't get a golden play button when you hit a certain number of it or whatever. And so, like, the reality is the system's smarter than that. If you're going to watch something, it has a pretty good idea if you're going to watch it, or if it's something that it wants to promote, it's going to promote it, whatever. Like, and so subscribership, like, there was fanfare when Mr. Beast crossed that number, but at this point, people are like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, like, fine. And so I think you'll still have people who are able to guide trends and able to kind of like find success. But again, as it does feel like we are in and there'll always be a couple people who are setting the trends, and maybe not at that scale and maybe not at that size. Because again, I should probably roll back because this is the other side of it, which I meant to bring up, which is YouTube, I suspect, doesn't want another adpocalypse, right? Yeah. And so I think one of the things that they've recognized is that if your platform is dominated by a couple of large creators, and granted, Mr. Beast is that right now, but I think with this, hey, let's make shorts a thing, and hey, let's spread out the views across a wider swath of people.
Right, communism.
Yeah, exactly. Communist platform's great, but bit by bit,
for the people,
it de-risks the platform, right? Like if you can't have an adpocalypse if there isn't a PewDiePie or a Logan Paul, and Mr. Beast is that right now, but I think YouTube has started to realize, and the success of TikTok and things like that is like, hey, we can still be creator first, but not like these creators first. And I think you're seeing kind of a slow, potentially a slow correction to that, where it's like, hey, if a channel with 1 million subscribers gets canceled or does something terrible or whatever, no one's going to bat an eye because no one's heard of that person, or it doesn't have that cultural permeation over everything. And so it protects us as a platform. It still allows, us to be creators first or whatever, while de-risking everything. So there's a lot of stuff.
You're fine. You can say what you want. No one will care.
No one will care because I'm a
If you get
mid-tier
cancelled,
YouTuber.
it's not real.
It's
Just come back stronger than ever.
It's so weird being in the year of our Lord 2024 and being someone who grew up with the internet and being like, virality doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Beast videos, I don't watch them. They never pop up on my feed. I don't really see many clips of them. And his videos get, like 200 million per video or whatever. And I feel like and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the term of like this video going viral isn't really a thing anymore because there's so many people watching so much stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think TikTok has just ruined people's ability to discern what numbers mean.
Yeah.
Like I was hanging out with some game dev people over the week and they were talking about something got viewed like 8 million times. And then they like turned to me and they were like, I don't know how big that is. Like, it's probably not that big at all. And I'm like, 8 million views is still based on what platform you're getting it on. Obviously it matters more, but I'm like, that's still a fuck ton of views to get on anything.
Yeah.
But it's just people see TikToks now with like 30, 40, like unless you're getting 30 million views on a TikTok now, people are like, that's not viral. No one cares.
Yeah, no, it's true, and I think you call out a really good point there too, which is like, hey, it depends on the platform, it depends on how that view is counted, it depends on where what. Like, there's so many, depends on or like caveats or like little addendums there that it changes everything too, right? Where a view doesn't equal a view, but like this view counted because it was autoplay. Like there's so much. Like deep, I guess not deep knowledge, but there's so much kind of just general confusion in the space about like what numbers mean and are they real? Like, hey, that trailer has 25 million. They have 25 million.
Did you see the
views,
Discord fuck up that happened with their views?
No, what happened?
No.
They broke the record for most views ever because they were announcing their loot boxes on Discord, but somehow they accidentally, like an engineering code thing, accidentally had it autoplay for everybody who ever used Discord that day.
Yeah.
So it got 1 billion views in less than 24 hours.
Man, yep.
So they were sitting at like 1.4 billion views on their video, and the people on the team were like screenshotting each other, being like, what happened? Why are people so excited about Discord loot boxes? And then it was like, oh shit, what did I do?
That's so
So
funny.
they like view botted themselves by accident.
Whoops, sorry. Yeah, but that's exactly it, right? Like, I mean, you ask the question of can I even trust these views? Like there's so many ways that you can buy views, and there's like
Kick as a platform.
right? Like who knows? Yeah, where's the money coming from? Like, there's so much like sketchiness in the ecosystem, and not just YouTube, but like across the board, right? Like, do you think that a lot of people are following like top TikTokers a lot of cases because they choose to, or is it because it's auto-populated because, hey, it's a good story if this person has 100 million followers and they look like this and they check X, Y, and Z boxes and they fulfill corporate mandate, whatever. It's there's so many factors at play, and it's one part like I'm the conspiracy theorist, but it's also just part of like I've existed in this world. I've talked to businesses. I've studied all these platforms, and there's so much more beyond. There's so much more that goes beyond just like the success of like this was a good piece of content, or this is a creator that I like, or this is a channel that's cool, right?
There's some people are definitely getting like preferential treatment every now and then, for lack of a better term. Like, it's not making or breaking careers, but there's definitely like we've seen it happen where some people get claimed on something, or they get a strike, or whatever you want to say, like they get ads taken off their video, and then somebody else who did the exact same thing didn't, because you've been a good boy for so long that you kind of like flew under the radar, and the system just wasn't tracking you as harshly as it was somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
And people definitely want to push something, whether people like it or not.
Well, it's also, and it also makes business sense in a lot of cases too, where it's like, hey, these are all platforms that are based on ad rates and this and that, and if you're if you're a platform, you're selling a bunch of ads to a bunch of people 6 months out in advance to 12 months out in advance, and they're expecting a certain number of views, and if all of a sudden like this person gets canceled or these views disappear or whatever, it's like we're on the hook for a lot of views or a lot of impressions or whatever. We need to create some level of stability and future proofing, and we need to control the system to some extent in order to make sure that like the unpredictability of this business doesn't hamper this $10, $50, $100 million deal that we did over here, so we got to like make it work.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and God knows how many lawsuits they have under the covers constantly, like month on month. They must be just their lawyer team must be constantly just like putting out fires left, right, and center with the amount of people on the platform.
Well, that's one of those things where it's like, in my retirement, a lot of people are like, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? And one of the popular ones that gets thrown out to me a lot is like, oh, you're going to be CEO of YouTube. And I'm like, nope. Like, you could not pay me enough to do that shit. Like, hey, do you want to be the most hated person in America, where it's like the legislators hate you, like the audience constantly hates you, the creator, like you are a nexus of like hatred. You're a lightning rod of hate. And it's like I'm good, man. I'm fine.
Yeah. I really don't want to do that job.
Right. No.
Speaking of people asking what you're doing
out
after your retirement, and say as much or as little about this as you want. And I first wanted to ask, like, what are you doing right now? But instead I'm going to rephrase it as someone who's off the platform and doesn't have to worry about the grind on YouTube. What are you currently passionate about? Like, what's exciting to you right now? And what gets you up every day? Other than your child, obviously.
Yeah, he definitely wakes me up very early every day. So that's cool. I mean, here's the thing. Like, even though I'm not on the platform and I'm not, like, I'm still on GT Live, and so I still, do our gaming channel and things like that. But even though I'm not like doing the main channels anymore, I'm still behind the scenes helping mentor the creators. I'm teaching them. We're going through like VO lessons and scripting lessons, and I'm trying to like help them kind of learn how to find their own voices, how to kind of speed run my process in a lot of ways. And we've been doing that for the last year. A lot of the creative directors who've taken over the channels at this point, they've been the longest one has been with us for 6 years. Everyone has been at least a year. And the training regimen has been at least a year to get people going and get them to where they are now, and they're still learning. So 2.5, I believe I calculated the other day, 2.5 days of my week are spent in one-on-one meetings with them, training them. We have a whole like curriculum on how to how to YouTube, how to be an expert on X, Y, and Z, and how to contribute to the rest of the team and this and that. So there's a lot of that process.
Can I go to game theory school? It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, please, come
fun.
on. It'd be great to have you. You could be a special guest speaker. It'd be amazing. If you're looking to retire from Jacksepticeye, like you can always come on over.
I have nothing to teach.
You can come on over to game theory.
I've been brain dead for a long time, man. There's nothing going on in here.
So that's one thing. Like, so a lot of it is doing that. A lot of it is also we're working on a lot of projects in the background. I mentioned the fashion show that we have going on, and that's been kind of like a long process where we're crafting together this live fashion show event that's happening in LA, and it is us plus a couple other creators, all who are doing interesting things in the apparel fashion space, all under one roof. And so it's basically like 6 shows all in one that are kind of like being funneled through us, which is kind of fun.
Cool.
So that's been a cool one that I've been helping out in the background. We have a mystery music project that we're working on right now. So we have some really talented musicians on staff, and I'm like, I want an opportunity for you to show off the cool stuff that you're able to do. Like you guys are awesome. I want there to be a spotlight for you guys. And so it's called Lore-Fi. Hopefully it's launching in May. But basically the idea of it is it's a lo-fi channel with mostly, it's not quite lo-fi, but it's close. It's like lo-fi music in different genres, and hidden in the music and hidden in the visuals and stuff like that, there's a story around it, and there's
That's
like
so
actual
cool.
lore, and it's like an ARG that you can solve while you're like chilling out and listening to the music that's just relaxing and stuff. So that's it. It's exactly what you said earlier, Sean, where it's
Are
like,
you trying to make sleeper agents?
yeah,
People just going to have this on and it'll be like kill the president. Like, I really have to like craft a theory and kill a president right now.
Right, I'm so compelled to subscribe to game theory, and also worship MatPat. What's that? Yeah, there's a lot of subliminal messaging. MatPat for king, MatPat for king. Yeah, but it's all part of the plan, my friends. So I'm passionate about world domination at this point. I'm passionate about
Cool.
my
Who
presidency.
isn't?
my presidency run. So all that good stuff. No, and so there's a couple of these kind of like bigger scale, more narrative driven projects that we would never have been able to do on the channel, and I hope they work, and I hope people like them, and I think people will really dig them. But it's fun and just gets me to express different creative sensibilities while spotlighting the team and what they're doing, which is cool. So that's really fun. And then like you said, there's been so many games that I've wanted to play that I've put on the back burner because I'm like, oh, those won't work on the channel, and I can't play them on GT Live, and like, but I've always wanted. So I have this big list of all these games that I'm like, oh, this is my like bucket list or like my to-do list of games, books. We're really into travel, and so Steph and I we haven't gotten to take many vacations. We've taken a lot of trips, but we've never taken many vacations over the years because you're always carrying recording equipment and this and that. So we have a lot of travel planned this year too, where we're staying down in Mexico for a bit. We're going to Paris in a couple weeks. We're going to Greece with Ollie for a little bit, and so we're doing a little bit of a little world tour, not a world tour, but like a couple of spots here and there, but travel and experiencing the world. The world's so cool. And
living, having a fruitful life, experiencing things.
I mean, that's what it is, right? Like, I think one of those things that's easy to forget when you're in the content bubble is that the world is out there, right? A couple weeks after we did the last video, Steph and I took a trip to Utah and Colorado with Ollie, and we just hiked through the national parks there. And there was that realization of like, there's Arches National Park and the Grand Canyon and stuff like that. And there's that realization of like, these places are here, and they're here all the time, round the clock, ready to be explored and ready to be viewed and appreciated, right? And that's awesome. And it's like, I could be sitting in front of a computer doing this, or and working and grinding and doing stuff, and there's value to that. And I still like doing the work and working on projects and stuff. But I also just like experiencing the world and being that person who's able to go and experience those things that are just waiting for you to take advantage of it. And it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean the character of a human is always like grow up, family, kids, house, retire, then you get to do what you want.
Right.
Then you get
then
to
you
travel.
die.
Right. There's that sliver there where it's like, oh, finally I get to experience things, but I'm too old to experience things.
Yeah, so I think it's cool to be at an age where you're able to retire and do what you want and kind of like experience the world and grow your brain and see other cultures. And do you have a pie in the sky pipe dream, like one project that you've always wanted to do that's like sitting up there way top of the shelf? Because for me, it's like I want to write a novel at some point, and I'm like, that just seems like an impossible task for me, but something to reach for. Is there something like that you've always wanted to do?
Oh, I just want to host a game show, man. I don't want to necessarily be the one who produces the game show. I am tired in a lot of ways. I'm enjoying making things, but I'm tired of being the guy at the central focal point of making everything, right? Like it's always been me, my vision, my creative, my ideas, my brainstorming, all this stuff, and it's great.
Matt, if I could give you an analogy, you're basically the prism with which all ideas get split out on the other side.
Exactly.
For any of our visual listeners out there.
Do you think that would be hard for you? As a person who has always been the person that's contributed to every facet, do you think that you would be able to like just be the host? Do you think that would be tough?
Here's the thing. I think yes. I think it would be hard, but I think I could do it and I'd enjoy it because here's the thing. Like, I could never let go of anything on game theory because at the end of the day, it was my show, my channel, my business, right? And so for me to not touch every script and not look at all the edits and things like that, it was hard to get to that point, or it was, and in a lot of cases I didn't get to that point, especially with scripts. Like the editors, I got to a point where I'm like, I trust the editors on almost every episode. There's a couple I'm going to pop in, that are more important or more specific or whatever. But when it came to scripting, I was in the weeds up until the final episode, like tinkering, working on all that stuff, right? Because it was my voice and I was represented there. I think with a game show, if it was produced by someone else and it was clearly someone else's project, I'm just there as talent and having fun and hosting and having a good old time. Because it's not my project and my show, I think people, like I would be okay with it, like, not being in the weeds. I think I'd give suggestions, and I think I'd be like, hey, have you thought about this? Or hey, have we considered this or whatever? And I think that would be that's just in my nature as a guy who likes to, again, teach people, equip people with knowledge, and like try to make the things that we work on the best possible. But if that wasn't, if they're like, oh, that's too hard or that doesn't work or whatever, like I'm like, okay, that's fine. I get it. So it would just be fun. I did a show with Go 90 back in the day, called the Runner.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Right, Go 90.
I don't even know what that is.
I was gonna say, nor should you, Ethan. The whole it was a Verizon. It was basically like, as everyone's trying to make their own platform for like premium video. Like, oh, YouTube's got like the crap videos, but like Go 90, we've got the premium videos, and Go 90's the one that has the content that makes you want to go 90 with your phone. It's the ones that makes you want to turn your phone 90 degrees so you can watch it in widescreen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the whole shtick.
It really worked.
Yeah, not so much. No, but the show that I did there was actually the one and only thing that actually got people over there, which was fun. It was a nice, but it was a show called The Runner. And it was a cross-country manhunt show where you had this one person who no one had ever seen before, and teams that were hunting this person. And they would be in the same city at the same time, and they have to figure out like where this guy was and stuff. It was really fun. It was ahead of its time. But that was a production that I got to host and was handled by the production teams who do stuff like Survivor and things like that. So like they came in really well prepared. They knew it all. And so I was able to come in and they would call me in to consult about like, hey, what do you think the internet would think about this? Or, do you think the audience would enjoy X, Y, and Z? And so like there was a good back and forth there. But at the end of the day, it was their show. And it was just like me getting the challenge of working through it and solving the mysteries of the day and this and that, which was a lot of fun. And so like being able to achieve that again would be great, but it would take an adjustment, but I think I'd be okay with it. But that's my pie in the sky game show. I just want someone just give me a game show. That's all I want.
You heard him, folks.
Give MatPat a game show.
All of the billions of viewers of Brain Leak, give MatPat a game show. Hey, you're more than welcome to host some parts of Thankmas if you want. If
I'd love
we
that.
If we could make a game show segment for you.
Oh, I mean, I would love to be a part. I mean, I had such a good time last year, and thank you again for having me be a part of it. It's such an incredible event, and it was so much fun. I'm sorry if I came out a bit.
You were there.
I'm sorry if I came out a bit strong. I feel like my energy level might have steamrolled you a little bit.
That was one of my things when I left, that I was like, I'm so glad Matt does what he does. Because you're on stage for that long and you're doing it for that long that you kind of just become brain dead, and you have someone talking in your ear, and you have so many like spinning plates, and you're trying to like, are the audience having fun? Are people backstage? Is everything okay? Or what are we at? So for you to come out with energy like towards the middle end, I can't even remember when you were, but it just reinvigorates everything. And especially when there's other people on stage who are a bit more shy and a bit more subdued and are a bit afraid of like cracking eggs in their heads, and with the audience coming up on stage, like I thought it was great.
Oh, it was
I don't
so
think
much
you have
fun.
anything to apologize for.
No, I think that's
job.
one of the other like retirement projects that I'm debating, and it's like, would I like to do this? Would be like a live tour, because I know like you guys have done tours, right? And it's one of those things where my background is in theater. And those sorts of experiences with the live audience on a stage, and you feel the energy, and there's that give and take with the audience, is so satisfying for me, and so exciting and invigorating. I was at PAX a couple weeks ago, PAX East, and it was amazing. And I gave a presentation there about just like my life in game theory. And again, it was one of those, like, it was a packed theater of like 3,000 people, and it was so awesome. And it was like, oh, I miss this and I love this. And that's the other thing that I debate, like, and one of the things that would not get me out of retirement, but like a new project that I would probably open up is like, hey, is there like a MatPat on tour kind of thing? Because that would be a lot of fun for me. So.
Yeah, I think touring's great. I think it's anybody that does this type of content, I think should go out on a tour, because it's so fun to do. It's such a different energy. It's a different skill set. It kind of ruined my ability to record videos after I did it, because now I'm like, there's no one here laughing, and I don't know what to do. And it was so much harder to like keep the energy going. Yeah. But doing a live show in front of people was one of the coolest things I think I've ever done. To the point where I'm like, I want to do another one. I need to figure that maybe I need to retire for one of those to happen, where I'm like, I need to find the time gap to figure out when I would go on tour to do anything like that.
The retired YouTubers tour, guys?
Oh, damn.
That would be great.
Now that's an idea.
I
There we
that's an
go.
idea.
Okay.
I'm in. I quit.
Yeah, there it is. Hey guys, you know how like a week ago I said I had 2 years. Like, sorry, I hate to pull the rug. I talked to MatPat the other day, and I'm gone. Everyone just hates me. It's like, oh no,
I talked to
gotta pull the
MatPat for
plug
an
now.
hour, and he convinced me I need to leave.
Yeah.
That should be the title of this episode. It's just MatPat convinced Sean to quit YouTube.
That's great.
Yeah.
Putting in the cold.
Hey
cold
man,
open.
I'm in too.
Yeah,
Let's
you
all
coming
just-
with us?
Yeah,
MatPat
absolutely.
convinced Sean and Ethan to quit YouTube.
What? Now this might be a little sad, but what was that like? If you could sum it up in a word or a sentence, pressing end record on the final Goodbye Internet video, what did that feel like?
Oh, it was bittersweet and relieving, but also very very like bittersweet is absolutely like the theme of it, where it's that moment of like it's a moment of closure. And it's a moment of immense relief because you've been carrying it around, and it's been a secret, and it's been kind of building up, and there's all this and you have all this expectation for it. Is it going to be right? Is it going to come out okay? Things like that, and there's that moment of, hey, I got through it. It's one of the hardest videos that I've ever made, and incredibly personal and incredibly vulnerable, and you're scared because. Yeah, I mean, Sean, you just said it like you just did yours a couple weeks ago. Not your goodbye video, but like where you're. I mean, it's opening yourself up and admitting vulnerability and fear, and you want people to know how much you appreciate them, and that this isn't trying to abandon them at all, and that this isn't anything about it, because the community to me has always been the most important. And I know like nowadays it's about like numbers and subscribers and brand deals and but like monetization and the audience and the fans. And it's like, no, like I come from the decade where it's like, oh no, it's a community. Like we're all united here in our collective nerddom, and we're all a little bit different in our neurology, and we all like to fiddle with things and theorize about things, right? And so I wanted to make sure that everyone felt appreciated, and that they understood my perspective and where I was at, and why it made sense for me and also for them, and that also that like I wasn't truly gone ever, but that relationship lives on. So there was a bit of a delayed reaction to it, where I had that I hit stop recording, and there's that moment of relief and like immediate sadness, and you're just like kind of breathing through it. But then later in the day, actually, there was another moment where I was back in the same space, and I was cleaning up some things, and I was kind of there alone, and it was dark and quiet, and the day had kind of ended, and it was one of those where it's like a palpable difference in the room, and your relationship with the room had changed, and you look at it and you're like, oh, this is different now, and something has shifted. And that again, it was that moment of like, let me sit down and process that. It's that grieving process again. Like, let me sit down and process this, because this place that's been so important to me and so familiar to me, and such an intrinsic part of my life, you can't go back there again, or your relationship to it has changed fundamentally, and you can go back there, but it means something different, and it's validating and sad and a little bit scary. It's a lot of emotions all mixed together. Absolutely.
Obviously, you said that this had been a plan for a year plus, but how much time in between actually recording that and posting it was there?
Which one, the final theory or the announcement video?
The announcement.
The announcement. That one was. It was a couple days actually. It was a fairly quick turn. Usually we budget about a week to doing things. But this one was a little bit faster just because of a variety of different reasons. But it was a lot faster. and also it's a lot easier to edit, which is great. You know, in fact, that was my big note to the editors is I'm like, I want as few edits to this as possible because the more edits, like I want it to be clear that this was something that was just like communicated from my heart to them. You know, I don't want it to feel like it was a corporate mandated video where like every line had to be. It was like, no, this is an honest conversation, and I don't want it edited. I want it to be real. But no, it was quick, which I think was good, because if there had been a long delay between there and the actual like publication of it, it would have been, you know, you start to second guess it. Does it lose relevancy? Like, do you feel differently? So no, I was glad that it was a quick turn for sure.
Yeah, ripping
Man,
the
if I
Band-Aid
was to
off.
use an analogy, I'd say it's kind of like an exorcism.
Great, yeah, no, I think I was gonna say I think Sean has an analogy for exactly this scenario.
Yeah.
When those lights went off and closing time started playing in the background, and you thought, I have exorcised the demon, and you hung up your cross. I think
upside down.
that's when you knew.
This sounds like a really good exorcism movie. Where the
Or an
demon is
awful one.
right. It's either great or it's so bad it's great.
Yeah, someone has a possessed YouTube channel and they need to exorcise it.
And then
Yes.
no, you had me at closing time. Honestly, the music drop, the needle
And you
drop
just
of
walk
closing
out,
time.
Fist in the air.
Fist in the air, slams
Yeah.
the cross on the wall.
Freeze frame.
Did you just go into the room and be like, that's just a theory? And like a soft-spoken, a game theory. And you just turned around, fist in the air, closing time!
Did you schedule that video or did you manually publish it?
No, it was scheduled, but I was there when it like it was scheduled to release just because that's our process and that's our procedure at this point. But I was there to watch it tick over, and I was the one who pressed schedule. Cause we have a team of channel managers who kind of like help package videos at this point and schedule them and this and that. But I requested to be the person to hit schedule. Scheduled, and it wasn't scheduled that far. Again, it wasn't scheduled that far in advance, so there was a little bit more of an immediacy to it. And then I was there to watch it kind of like change over and see like, okay, there, and it's live, and there it is, and thus.
And then you're
the ball
like,
is rolling.
8 out of 10.
Change the thumbnail.
That was definitely a 1 of 10 video, no doubt.
That was
If
pretty
your
solid.
retirement video isn't a 1 of 10, you fucked up so much.
If the retirement video isn't 1 of 10, you probably should have retired a while ago, to be honest.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
man.
or
Well-
what do you go back, throw him back on the couch, get him to cry. You know.
Hey, tears breeds
Yeah.
views.
Spit tear. You know,
Yeah. Somebody spit on me.
Oh, I'm so mad.
Well, Matt, it's been great to have you on the episode. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no,
I
thank
learned
you.
a
Yeah.
lot. I want you to be my dad.
Same.
I'll be your dad. I'll be whatever you need me to be. Absolutely.
Don't give over too much of yourself. You're still in internet mode. Okay? This was a test and you failed.
Damn it. Oh. Hey, I said
I
I'll be
called
your
you daddy. You say no now.
I said I'll be your dad, not your daddy. Okay, you took
Yeah,
it there.
there is a
you
big
took it
difference.
there. I'll be
Big
your
clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just
Sorry,
more
guys.
excited about our live retirement tour. Like honestly, like retired
man,
YouTuber
I
tour.
can't
That is a thing. Like we got to get. Who else are we getting on this thing?
Gotta get Jenna Marbles. Gotta get. I mean, there's a lot.
We got to get the OGs back. We need to get some like real dinosaurs on this thing.
Oh yeah,
Including an actual dinosaur, like the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, honestly, the inflatable raptor suits, that was a big thing for a while. Like that
was a
throwback.
big thing.
They're retired at this point.
we should all come out dressed as those.
Yeah, we can open it with the Harlem Shake.
Yeah.
It'll be sick.
Oh man, all flicking flicking spinners.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. It'll be like
The
nostalgia
Jurassic
porn.
tour.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Jurassic tour from the Over the Hill YouTube. Honestly, you could do like a yearly event too, and each one's like rebranded as like, oh, the Jurassic tour, and then it's like the Over the Hill tour, like this We're Still Not Dead tour. You know?
Hey, I'd rather be
Yep.
over the hill than buried under it, right, guys?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Closing time.
Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on. This was
Thanks
so
for leaking with us.
fantastic.
Oh
yeah,
man,
thank you so much.
We
for
leaked
leaking with us.
all over this place, and I couldn't be happier.
Now, Matt, there is one final question.
Yes.
And Sean, you said that you wanted to ask this question.
Matt, have you ever shit yourself? That's how we started our podcast, was me sharing a very embarrassing shit story. So.
Yeah. Everyone. Oh. Yes, I have. And
There
it was
you have
actually,
it, folks.
and actually, it was. I can't tell the full story just because there's certain privacy things I have to follow through, but it was it happened as part of filming the final theory.
Oh, drop it. And quick, end the episode here. People have to theorize.
Yeah, but
That's
theorize about that
just a
one.
theory.
In what scene of the final theory am I just, heavy load?
But that's just a theory, a shit theory.
A lot of them have been, honestly.
And dumb. Brain leak.